Hi friends, let us welcome back to our channel, that is Point Out. So as a part of NCRT series, so we have discussed understanding marginalization and before chapters, and then we entered into confronted marginalization. So in the last few classes we have discussed about this lesson, and today we are going to end this lesson. Okay, today we are going to end this lesson. So that is confronted marginalization. Confronted marginalization. So in the last class we have discussed about the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, protection of atrocities, 1989 act. So we have studied about that, and today we are seeing about how Adivasis were demanded for the 1989 act. Okay, the Adivasis demanded for the 1989 Act. But before going to see, let's see what we have discussed in the last class. Okay, so in the last class we have seen the struggle of manual scavengers. Manual scavengers. So manual scavenger is nothing but majority of the chances the Dalit community people, so they use it to wash the dry latrines. Okay, through broomsticks and utensils, and they carry on their heads to dispose away. So they use it to carry that materials on their heads. So because of that they faced severe diseases. Okay, so manual scavengers, they attacked with severe diseases. Severe diseases. They faced many problems related to health, such as eye. Next, they impacted on respiratory, and they impacted on skin diseases. So they are impacted. So many people were dependent on manual scavengers from the Dalit community. But what happened is the government introduced a new law, that is, so construction of dry latrines and manual scavenger work was prohibited. Okay, so prohibited. So because of that, many people lost their livelihood, and there is no rehabilitation for them. So they violated that fundamental right, that is right to livelihood. Okay, they violated right to livelihood. So their survival became tough. Then all the Dalit community people who are working in manual scavengers, okay, so they started protest. They started retaliating against the system. They are raising their voice. They are questioning the state. So in such a way, the state should want to introduce the new laws and policies to favor them, to support their livelihood, which should wanted to help for their survival. Okay. So at the end, the government introduced a new act, that is rehabilitation of manual scavengers. So after they are filing case against this act at Supreme Court through public interest litigation. Okay, so public interest litigation, they filed a petition at Supreme Court. So this act is stealing our livelihood. So in such a way they filed complaint at Supreme Court. Then they got Rehabilitation Act. Okay, then they got Rehabilitation Act. Rehabilitation Act. So this is what we have studied in the last class. Okay. So today we are going to discuss about the Adivasis demanded 1989 Act. Adivasis Demand 1989 Act. So in last few chapters we have seen Adivasis marginalization. Okay. So in that what happened is, so Adivasis are inhabitants to the forest. They grown at there, they lived at there. Their life was completely tied up with the forest. But what happened is, because of their the place they will live, because of the natural resources, minerals and ores, and for the sake of animals, for the sake of timber, so private industry people were started forcing them to evacuate that place. Okay, not only forest, private industries, but also state also forced them to vacate. They introduced new forest policies, and construction of dams, and further establishing of sanctuaries, wildlife sanctuaries. Okay, so because of all that, they forcefully went from that forest. They evacuated from forest. Okay, so because of the forest policies, because of the private industries, and for the sake of construction of dams and sanctuaries, wildlife sanctuaries, so Adivasis were forcefully evacuated. So we also seen how hard life they will lead after they were evacuating from the forest. So they livelihood, not only they missed their livelihood, but they also lost such more things. That is, they lost their culture, they lost their uniqueness, they lost their tradition. Everything they lost, and they tried in many hard ways to survive at that towns and cities, and many people were died in the process of migration. Okay, so many people were died because of forceful evacuation. Many people were struggled to fit in that society. They fighted for the basic amenities. Okay, this is what happened. So while the time is moving on, people started developing their minds. They started questioning the government. Okay, they started questioning the government. So at 1980s, around 1980s to 1989, so Adivasis people came out and they started asking the question, why you people were violating our fundamental right? Who given that right to violate? So for these people, activists were supported. So combined Adivasis and activists, they started revolution against all these incidents and activities. CK Janu, she is a most popular activist. She questioned, she asked behalf of Adivasis. Okay, so at least you, either state or private industries, at least they should wanted to think about the rehabilitation. Okay, they wanted to focus on rehabilitation. So this is what happened, and at the end, so in some situations, they even didn't allow their uh, goats or buffaloes to eat in that forest. They didn't allow them to enter. Okay. So at the end, they introduced the act, the rehabilitation for Adivasis. Okay, the scheduled the scheduled tribes and non-scheduled tribes. Rehabilitation of forest policies. Rehabilitation of forest policies. Act 1989. So through this, they have given rights to the Adivasis. So they eradicated the merchants and for the sake of timber, so those who went to the forest, they eradicated them. Okay, and they also questioned. So for the tribal people, the land is allotted for the tribal people. So non-tribal don't wanted to buy that land or sell that land. Currently, we have seen that Manipur issue because of this law. Okay, so at the end, because of the protests and because of the struggles of activists, so at the end they got Rehabilitation Act. Okay, rehabilitation. Sorry, this is 2003. So this is all about this class, that is confronted marginalization. So at the end, what we have known means, so in the constitution they provided, so this is the fundamental right, so this is the article which supports this community. But what happened means, in the reality, they are not executing. They are not executing. So until if it comes to the execution, then only it will survive. So the people should wanted to become aware about their rules and regulations, and they need to start question the politicians or a state or government. They need to question. So people should wanted to on the daily basis, they should wanted to awareness about the rules and regulations, and they need to question. So this is all about today's class. Thank you, friends.